Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Grace and today I am going to be talking about my 2021 sinking funds. So I am going to go over the categories that I'll be saving for this year, the goal amount that I plan on for each of those categories, if there is a deadline for it, and then the amounts that I'm going to be doing either per month or per pay period. I still haven't decided, but I think for the sake of this video, I'm going to be doing it the amount per pay period. And so I'm going to go over what sinking funds are. So sinking funds are just basically a savings that you do for a category that you know that you're going to spend for either throughout the year or sometime during the year. So for example, birthdays you know are going to happen, and you set a little bit aside for that sinking fund to make sure that you have money for when that birthday comes around. Same thing for car maintenance or household or even Christmas. So things like that, just money that you are going to set aside because you know that that expense is eventually going to happen. That is what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to link this wallet down below. I've had it for I think over the past year now, or maybe even longer, and I really liked it. I've used a different wallet before for my sinking funds, but I thought I would change it up for this year and just have this one. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with my sinking funds. And so the first sinking fund that I plan on doing for this upcoming year is the cart maintenance. And then specifically for this one, you guys, I don't necessarily have like a goal amount or a limit per se, but I am going to set one that I would like to continue having in this envelope throughout the year. So I don't want to go either below that. That's what I'm really trying to get at, because I've realized that in the past few months, I've had to spend a little bit more for my car maintenance. I do have a 2014 car, but I've noticed that it's starting to have a lot more problems than before. Not like huge problems, but this is for sure an amount that I'd like to continue to have up to that limit throughout the year so that I don't go below it. Not necessarily a deadline for this, so I'm just gonna put that there is no deadline. And then to break it down per pay period, I'm gonna be doing $20, so around $40 per month if I want to hit that goal by the end of the year. But obviously, I don't want to wait until the end of the year to have that amount. So I'm going to say $20, but that might change throughout each month. Depending on my income that month, then that amount may change. And that's also something that you have to consider for sinking funds. You have to consider your income, what you have left over after bills and after savings, to make sure that the right amounts are going into your sinking funds as well. Now, I say savings because I find that savings are separate from sinking funds. I like to have like a separate account for savings that has nothing to do with my sinking funds. Birthdays is going to be another one that I'm going to be doing. And then again, there's not necessarily like a goal amount for this, but I'm going to go ahead and do $500 for this one as well. There is not a deadline because there is a couple of deadlines throughout the year, as I have birthdays throughout the year. But I'm going to also say $20 per pay period, and that just means I get paid bi-weekly. So bi-weekly, I would be adding that amount to my sinking fund. If I want to give a deadline to this, I would say the first deadline is in the end of March, beginning of April type of thing. So obviously I'm not gonna have $500 by then, but at least I'd like to get to that goal by the end of the year or throughout the year. So girls, this is a sinking fund that I have for my daughters and whatever they might need throughout the year. I don't actually have another deadline for this one, but I would like to have at least $600 in here by the end of the year. And this is for whatever they might need. It's not necessarily something that's super important, but it is something that I like to have on hand because if you have kids, you know that sometimes there is, there are things that they need. And so it's just important to have that money set aside. Clothing, just another sinking fund that I technically don't use that much. At least I try not to. But I'm just going to go ahead and say $600 for this one. And to be quite honest, like, I don't need any new clothing for myself. And I know that my husband doesn't either. And the girls are good to go because some of the girls' money I have already used for them. So they should be good. But if I can get to that by the end of the year, that would be fine. And we're not really going anywhere, so it's not like we need to have new clothing all the time. So $25. And then I also have household. So there has been a few things that have changed. I haven't posted in a while, but I'll kind of go into that in a later video. But household, I'm going to go ahead and do $400. There's not a deadline for this, but I'm going to say if I can per pay period, I'm going to do like about $15. Back to school. Now this for sure does have a deadline. I'd like to get to $350 by August. And if I do $350 for the next 7 months or so, I'm going to be doing $25 bi-weekly. So hopefully you can see this. I'm going to try to zoom in just a little bit more. So yeah, that one does for sure have a deadline. And typically this is what I try to save. That should be enough for back to school, clothing, or supplies. That's typically what I do. Either some type of clothing and then back to school supplies. And typically for school supplies, it can be anywhere from like $150 to $200. And then the rest I would use just on anything they might need, like a backpack or anything like that. Car tags. This also does have a deadline. And I'm going to go ahead and say $160 for now. But I know that this year I actually ended up paying like $130 or something. I don't quite remember anymore, but this will be due in November. So if I want to do that, then I'll have to put away like about $10 per pay period, so bi-weekly. Okay, and then here is where I'm going to be separating a few things for Christmas. I am going to have a Christmas sinking fund, but here's the deal. And I watch The Budget Mom, and she is very, very correct that when it comes to Christmas, we only think about gifts sometimes. And to be honest, there's a lot of other things that we need to take into consideration, like any dinner plans or, those type of things. So I'm actually going to be using this Christmas sinking fund specifically for like food, beverages, miscellaneous type of things for Christmas, to be completely honest. So this is going to be like a miscellaneous Christmas sinking fund. And so I'm not planning on doing like too much. So I'm going to do just $350. This is something new that I'm going to try this year and see how that goes. I don't actually know if I'll reach that amount, but if I do plan on reaching this by December, then I should put away about $15 per paycheck. And then I'm separating the Christmas gifts. So this is something that I'm going to do separate. I've never tried it before. I don't know if it'll work out, but hopefully it does. I'm going to go ahead and say $700 by December, late November, December. And then I'm going to be putting $30 per pay period bi-weekly. And glasses, contacts is something that I've been wanting to save for the last couple of months, and I haven't gotten around to it, to be quite honest, with everything that's been happening. And so I'm gonna start saving for this. I'm gonna go ahead and say 350 should be enough. There's not a deadline for this, but if I want to get to it a little bit faster, I'm actually going to do more than 25. But for now, I'm going to say $25 bi-weekly. And then I also have a giveaway / YouTube sinking fund. And I'm going to say $200 for this one. I don't have a deadline for this, but I'm going to say $15 per pay period. Okay, and then I also have this savings sinking fund. And if you guys are new to my channel, what this savings sinking fund is actually for is my cash envelopes. So anything that I do not use for my cash envelopes will go in here. And then at the end of the year, what I've noticed that I've done is that I'll use these savings to kind of either meet my goals for the sinking funds or just put it in my savings account, depending if I need it. Because that's what I noticed that for this year, I ended up using some of the savings that I had in my savings sinking fund to be able to replenish some of the birthday money or some of the cart maintenance money. So that's what I ended up doing with this specific sinking fund. And again, that's just for fun. It's not necessarily something that I need, but I'm not going to add it in here because technically sometimes there will be no money left over from my cash envelopes and sometimes there is. So just depending on that, that will tend to change. And I did used to have a water sinking fund because my water gets charged every like 2 or 3 months. I'm still trying to get the hang of it, to be honest. But I took that one away because I felt like, I don't know, I felt like it just wasn't going to work for me. I may try it throughout the year and I'll see how that works. Again, these are what I plan on doing for 2021. These may change throughout the year as well. I might get rid of just some or I might add to it because again, things change throughout the year for everybody and so it can be different. I'm just going to add up the total here and the total for my goal amount and then we'll go from there. Okay, so the total for my goal amount would have to be at 4,530, which seems like a lot, but if you think about it, it's throughout the year. It is money that either we are going to spend or money that we will have to have a set aside because we know that we eventually will spend. To be honest, it is kind of scary to think about that number when it comes to like my income and everything, but it's good to know it too, because then at least you know that it is something that you have to plan for. Realistically, I would have to do around $225 per pay period for my sinking funds. So again, hopefully that'll work out. It is going to be based on whatever money I do have left over because I also have to stuff my cash envelopes. And I have narrowed down my cash envelopes as well to like the most essential type of thing. That is what I'm planning on doing, you guys. If I do want to get to this goal amount for each one of these, I would have to set aside $225 per pay period, so bi-weekly. So per month, we're looking at about $450 to set aside, which I know that can be done. Hopefully you guys are planning your sinking funds for 2021. Hopefully this gave you some ideas of what you can plan for or what to look out for in your own personal life. Start saving that money so that you don't step back or anything like that with any unexpected things as well. So let's plan for the unexpected. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down below and I will see you on the next video.